Well, I said Monday I was already exhausted by the playoff Jimmy conversation, and I was just made more exhausted when I saw Heat fans, including our own Jeremy Fartbear Taché, get mad that Jimmy Butler wasn't in this NBA video promoting the playoffs.
Is playoff Jayson a thing?
Nah. Playoff Jayson is not a thing.
Okay, Tatum. We all know it's a thing. Look at the evidence. Just ask playoff Spider.
It's not a thing.
Playoff Brunson can't deny it.
I mean...
Is that official?
Oh, wait. No.
Are you serious?
It's not a thing.
Oh, I see. You got the whole league in on this.
It's not a thing.
Come on. We finally get to see playoff Giannis play with playoff Dame. Right, Dame?
It's not a thing.
It's clearly a thing. How else do you explain playoff teams going on playoff runs and making everybody ask?
But is this their playoff year?
Playoff Tunchi knows it's a thing.
It's game time.
Playoff crowds are louder. Playoff cameos have more flavor. Even Chuck's playoff jokes are funnier.
No, they are not.
So grab your playoff snacks and watch some NBA playoff basketball. Look out below! Because we all know
It's not a thing.
it's clearly a thing.
And Jimmy Butler, not in the video, even though we all call him playoff Jimmy, but also Jimmy Butler, not in the playoffs.
Wow. What are the playoffs these days?
That's a great question.
The play-in is not a playoff. You can't
you
have
sure?
a play. It's
You
a
gotta
play-in.
play in for the
It's
playoff.
clearly an in. It's
Last
not an
night
off.
felt like playoff
You've got,
games.
No,
I
it's
mean,
an in, though. You got to get in before you
play-in,
can get off.
right,
You
yeah.
gotta
but
get in
then-
before you can get off.
You got if you don't have Jimmy in this commercial, you need to just go with a different theme.
Very serious.
Because who else in the league? Name another player in the
You gotta
league.
get in. You got to get in before you can get off.
Name
Like,
another player in the league that
Hell
gets
yeah.
playoff blank.
Playoff P.
Well, people in the playoffs, just make the playoffs. Yeah. That I've seen Jeremy complain. I've seen Heat Twitter complain. Yeah. Make the playoffs.
You guys are missing the
No.
point.
No. See, I understand the point.
Yeah,
There's a
Mike
bunch of
gets it.
people upset that a team that is presently not a playoff team isn't featured in a playoff promo. Mm-hmm. I understand where the lament is because, playoff Jimmy is a thing where it's not a thing for everybody else, according to this commercial. Mm-hmm. It's certainly a thing. Well, I think it's a thing for Damian Lillard, but it's also a thing for Jimmy Butler. But it's only a thing for him if he's in the playoffs.
They probably made this commercial, 2 months ago? I bet they had a version where it ends with Jimmy being like,
yeah,
it is kind of a thing.
Oh, I don't
and they
doubt.
had to cut it because they're in the playoffs. See, no one's disputing.
See, you're getting it now.
No, but I think
that's amazing.
No,
I'm so happy.
no,
We've
taught
grown.
him.
My point
might be your
is
greatest
you got to punt
accomplishment.
on the entire commercial. Like, you,
Oh yeah, no, you
the whole
don't promote the playoffs because Jimmy Butler
No,
didn't
Jimmy,
get in.
that he didn't make the playoffs yet, so we can't talk about
Let
them.
my boy cook. I think
Don't-
he's making a good
just
point.
don't-
The playoffs don't need promotion if the Heat aren't in it.
don't go with the joke of playoff blank. Is this
Yeah.
playoff blank? Because Jimmy's the only guy they do that with. Playoff P is not really a
Right.
thing.
Playoff Spider.
What do you mean it's not
really a thing?
We did the thing with playoff P.
Do you think they're having this conversation in Atlanta because Trae Young isn't featured? Because he's not up.
No, but
he's
they
not
would
up.
if
You're so close.
if
He's
playoff-
not
You're
called
so
playoff.
close.
You're almost there.
There
He's
it
not
is.
called playoff.
There it is. It's essential to the playoff promo that people they're featuring are in the playoffs.
But if playoff Trey was a slogan, people in Atlanta would be complaining about it.
if he was in the playoffs, but he is presently not in the playoffs.
I think the play-in is the playoffs.
It is not because there's 10 seeds.
Gotta be in to get off.
You
Right.
gotta.
But a
get
10
in.
seed
Gotta
could get in the playoffs.
You got to get in to get off.
It's just Kevin Herter is not yet. He's hurt, but he's not playoff Kevin.
Right.
His name, yeah.
They want to use our thing. We created playoff Jimmy. This is the Heat's thing, playoff Jimmy.
The Heat created the playoffs?
No, the Heat created saying playoff Jimmy.
But no one says playoff Jimmy except Heat fans.
The Heat fans
That's
definitely
not-
created
Are you
making
kidding
gripes
me?
where there
I
are
have
none.
seen Here Comes Playoff Jimmy all over ESPN.
Why
Like,
doesn't
Heat-
regular season Jimmy show up and then
Yes,
you don't
that's-
get
yeah.
in this play-in
a
situation?
valid
If
question.
regular
Jimmy.
season Jimmy
Yeah,
played
just
games,
play-in Jimmy
you could have
today.
won 2 more games and you could have locked in potentially a 4-seed playoff Jimmy
'Cause
instead
here's-
of a play-in game where if you lose 2 games you miss the playoffs entirely because you half-assed it all season long.
I'm with you on that.
Good.
Tired of it.
I'm Billy, hammer right on the nail. Like it's
Sorry
just,
for cursing.
Why are we ripping the Heat?
You're not tired of
After
it.
tonight, they will be in the playoffs.
We know how tonight's gonna go.
Yeah, they're
we
going to
know
win.
how-
I saw everyone on First Take pick the Sixers.
You think they're gonna
We're
win?
winning tonight.
Okay.
Are they gonna release a new cut of this promo?
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I'm sure they would love to feature playoff Jimmy. I'm sure it makes all the sense in the world.
The idea was around Jimmy. I bet you the pitch for this entire premise was based off Jimmy.
I think the pitch was, how do we promote the NBA playoffs on the ESPN family of
And
networks?
I'm surprised they're not promoting play-in Jimmy.
Well, who has it? Is it ESPN or TNT?
ESPN, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. Well, look, no matter what, Heat fans will find their pivot. If the Sixers win, Jimmy will say something asinine that'll never stick to him again. Wow. And we'll hope to back in as an 8 seed. And then we'll do the whole Boston thing again. Got to go through us, and we'll beat our chest over playoff Jimmy.
Is he wrong?
I'm rooting against the Miami Heat.
Oh, geez.
Wow.
I'm rooting against them.
Get out of here.
I'm rooting against them,
No, you're not.
and it's because of 2 people. Who? Number 1 is Terry Rozier. You know this.
Scary Terry.
Number 2,
he's not playing tonight.
Which is actually
increasing
positive.
Yeah, I may actually end up rooting for them. And Jeremy Taché.
Oh,
that's a good reason.
Yeah. You know how older generations always complain about the new SNL cast. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at with Jeremy.
Wow.
It's just, I don't know what happened to Heat Twitter, but he is the amalgamation of what it's become, and it's embarrassing.
But isn't it your fault? Didn't you?
Yes.
You created this monster?
Yeah, I created. God's sake, I created all these things.
Like Stugotz created Bomani?
Yeah.
I found him.
I created all these things.
Who said Heat in 5 first?
Me.
Because I feel like that.
Me.
The whole Heat in 5 culture of no matter
Knick
what
fan.
they're going to win, that's what I think is really at the crux of all this.
All of the Heat Twitter slogans were created by this show. They're the intellectual property of this show. It is pretty ironic to me that I'm sitting back and I see my Twitter mentions of angry Heat fans, and they're using catchphrases that I created against me. Yeah, that's how it works. You cannot complain about not being featured in a playoff promo when you are not in the playoffs. This is base level stuff.
If I may, Paul George, I believe, is the one who called himself Playoff P. Can you get the Allison Turner commercial? Well, but I'm just saying, when we talk about who gets the nickname of Playoff Person, it is only Playoff Jimmy. And I also thought, by the way, that his whole not a thing was something that he was saying, that whole commercial is basically him, Playoff Jimmy. And I think he also said it's not a thing, and that's the note they keep hitting on there.
In seeing that promo, though, I am pretty excited. In the event that the Heat do match up against the Celtics, and then I go right back into being my worst Heat fan self, I am totally going to isolate, is playoff Jayson a thing, and him saying nah.
Playoff go pee-pee.
My barber says that this is the last season of Jimmy Butler here in Miami. So we could be facing the last
barber knows it all.
We could be facing the last 2 games here of, well, we don't need to get into the why, but we may be facing the last 2 games here of Jimmy Butler here in town. So how are we going to remember the Jimmy Butler years?
Wait, just if I may, because you guys, I mean, this tonight, like I know we've gotten spoiled around here, okay? But tonight, the Miami Heat are again playing another basketball game that matters. They are the biggest underdog among the play-ins because everyone fears what the Sixers are with Embiid healthy. Tonight, the Miami Heat play a basketball game that has a lot on it. Not just because you set up, if you win, you set up Heat Knicks, which is lovely for 2 weeks.
Yes.
It's a good deal of fun for 2 weeks. That's what you're setting up. Or if you lose, you then get into the same situation you were in last year, the same identical situation where now you've got to win a home game to get into the playoffs. And then the first series is where the conference has been won except for one detour through Milwaukee for 5 years. This conference, as soon as LeBron left it and joined what was winning over there with the Warriors, joined that side, this conference has run through this team in Boston for 5 years. And what you have tonight is a game that legitimately matters that you guys are starting with. Trade Jimmy, it's already over. And Mike Ryan is like, I'm bored by Boston. This team is. Mike was right on this is a play-in team. He said it before the season started. They played all year like a play-in team.
Can you say that one more time?
Mike Ryan was right.
Oh, damn, I might take off this nipple sticker right now and just give it a little pinch.
You have no faith, though, man. I mean, they did the same thing last year.
He did the same thing last year.
Yes.
Mike Ryan did the same exact dance last year where he was
And they were a playing team last year.
He was out before it started.
Finals.
And look how good Wemby was.
Let me see. Well, this is another point. this is another point, Tony. It's funny that you say that because Wemby would look real good in a Heat uniform if they had won that lottery ball last year. But I want to play for the audience. I want to see if I can get Mike Ryan fired up, Stugotz, by just taking you back to how and where and when it became Playoff Jimmy, because the musical notes on what the playoffs are, Stugotz, you need Kevin Harlan to be there for every moment with you to meet you at the height of those moments. How did he become Playoff Jimmy? This is kind of how it was in the bubble, but it was also this.
It's loose. The lead, Jimmy Butler. And Giannis was trying to call timeout, but Jimmy Butler sets up a three. Why not? Why not, Jimmy Butler? Butler's got 49 points. 14 in the fourth quarter. Giannis drives, spins, fires. No! Butler. Long shot. Good!
Okay, big takeaway from this video. That feels like it's 5 years ago.
Yes.
And it's solely because of the lift that Jimmy Butler has on his jump shots.
No announcer in the history of announcing meets the moment like Kevin Harlan.
Playoff
Honestly, Kevin.
Kevin Harlan's great.
Yeah.
But were you also stunned by the amount of lift on Jimmy Butler's jump shots? He looks like a different player.
5 feet in the air.
That is playoff Jimmy there, and that's where the legend continued. It started in the bubble, no doubt, but last year was insane. It totally unprecedented. An 8 seed having that miraculous run. This year's team, even though last year's team had a miraculous run, it showed it had the juice. This year's team doesn't, and that is because of the star. And I tend to agree with your barber, Billy. I think if they
because
they
of
lose,
the lack of juice in the legs is what you're saying.
He said that Jimmy lost the team when he showed up on media day dressed up.
Well, lost who specifically on the team?
Bam didn't even want to take a picture with him. He lost Bam that day, and Riley was out. He's going after Embiid.
Playoff P has been proven to work in the regular season for those who have struggled with moderate to severe postseason disappointment. It is not recommended as a first option. Do not take Playoff P while on Granger. Side effects include choking, heaving, not finishing, constipation, finishing early, and all-around disappointment. Playoff P is not for everyone. Call your doctor if you experience susceptibility to catfishing, kissy face, Australian sensitivity, paternity suits, the inexplicable urge to play for the Lakers, or thinking that dude's butt belongs to a lady. If you experience the loss of Oladipo, please call your doctor immediately. Get headed in a new direction with Playoff P.
The West is loaded, man.
Crazy.
So the Warriors are finished, and LeBron is a threat. I mean, you have to be threatened. He's roaming. I know Mike Greenberg is saying that they should have sat to avoid Denver, and I still don't think, right, boring or droning excellence though it was, I don't think that anyone should sleep on the idea that the Denver Nuggets are kind of championship overwhelming, and I would not want to play them if I were any team in the league, Boston Celtics included.
Do you agree with Greeny? So
No.
they should have lost that game?
No, it's ridiculous.
Dumbest take. That was like the dumbest take I've ever heard.
Well, let's play it out because they would have a one-game scenario right now with Sacramento, right? That would be it? I mean, they win that game.
You can't go into a game trying to lose. Mike said something earlier about the Bruins potentially doing that last night, throwing the game because they didn't want to, whatever, the matchups. It's like Paul Maurice spoke to this a couple weeks ago of the Panthers coach. You cannot, professional teams don't go into game. They might bench players that they want to start, but they're never going to just say, hey, our best players are out here. Try to lose today. That is just never going to happen. You might sit your stars and have the backups try.
Sure.
But there's never going to be a game with your stars out there that you're like, hey, at the very end, lose this game.
See what the Cavs did, final game, regular season? I mean, Tristan Thompson was playing point guard.
Well, there you go. That's at least they weren't playing their guys. They're not trying to lose. They're just playing a bad lineup. It was so stupid what Green said.
16 shots on goal against Washington Capitals and like 12 throughout 2 periods. They just started trying midway through the third period. It was weird.
So they tried to lose the first first half of the
I'd
game.
be
and
more
then
concerned about Boston, yeah.
You don't think any team has ever seen what comes ahead for them, and if they lose, it's better, and tried to lose?
No, I think that they may bench their starters if they want to, lose a game. But they're not going to tell you go out there and lose.
I just think that there's something subconscious that happens to the effort that is hard to quantify.
I'm not arguing that. It's just the idea of go out and lose is a ridiculous premise.
I don't think anyone says go out and lose this game unless they're tanking for a draft pick.
No one says it.
Yeah,
it's understood.
But there
It's
are certain
understood,
things,
right.
and it starts from the top down. At the executive level, if they just kind of want you to lose,
It's a phone call.
the effort usually meets that.
I mean,
Mark Cuban got fined for saying it's better if we lose. He got fined a substantial amount of money. I think like $500,000 or $1 million for saying it benefits us to lose. And they realized how bad it looked that was, so they gave him a giant fine. They were not trying to win.
Chris, since I guess, and you're pretty rational by comparison, but in terms of Heat fans, you're the most irrational of us right now. What's the pivot?
Oh, irrational.
Because you're complaining about someone not being in the playoffs.
Did you not hear your voice there?
My boy, dude.
Your voice. If I were making a cartoon thing that was meant to symbolize irrational, that's the voice I would give.
Entire
it.
premise.
So the premise of them playing in the play-in tonight, if they lose that game, it doesn't stick to Jimmy. If they lose the game tonight,
I don't like your premise.
What's the spin going to be if they lose to the Philadelphia 76ers?
I'm not.
Bam needs to get better.
I don't like being painted as this Heat defender. I'm just saying the playoff the playoff Jimmy thing. That commercial. That's the Jimmy thing.
I agree. I would have a gripe.
What are you saying?
It's a ridiculous
He's
commercial.
just saying.
I'm saying it's a ridiculous
He's allowed to
commercial
say
without
it.
Jimmy.
It is.
What do you mean? We had the whole
Why'd they have
conversation.
such a ridiculous season? That wasn't a playoff season.
That's a great
He
question.
said find a new slogan to promo the playoffs if you're not going to use Jimmy
Punt
Butler.
on that commercial if Jimmy's not in it. It's the whole thing.
I gave you.
It's wild.
I gave you the new
the premise of
commercial.
it.
Why even give out the Larry O'Brien trophy if it's not going to be to the Heat?
I thought I was a narcissist.
This is insane.
Well, I'll tell you what's insane.
It is.
There are a number of things here that are insane. But if you've listened to this show for 15 years, to see the permutation of Heat Twitter guy go from Mike Ryan, all right, I'll allow Cortez. I'll allow Parakeet Cortez as a representative for our culture to be obnoxious and in character
and I'm
all
the
time.
narcissist.
I'll allow him to
He only exists because I allow it.
to lead
made him.
Twitter, but then to have it become Jeremy, who's more annoying than any of them and less charming and going for bad jokes all the time. I understand how Mike says this is not a proper representation that honors the obnoxious I tried to make of Heat Twitter.
No, he's embarrassing to me. He's embarrassing to me. It's I don't want to just blame millennials, but I feel like I have to.
Wow.
I'd like to dig in a little deeper here because Jeremy has been aggressively cocky lately about being not funny on purpose, and it's destructive.
Really sinking into
he
it.
thinks he's that charming. And he's
Will
not-
Seeloff, though, deserved the better fate, I thought. I mean, it was good. It was clever. It was cute.
I'm saying he's making aggressively bad jokes all of the time.
This generation of Heat fans are an embarrassment to the people that brought him to the dance. I'm talking about the This Is Chuckers of the world. We were putting a horse on Photoshops before you even knew Photoshop was a thing. You know, that was what we were doing.
You were born in this
When
fire.
someone said something bad, boom, horse penis on the head. Move on.
That's how you do it.
Tony, you're reacting as if because I think Mike would allow you. You haven't
Oh,
summoned.
you picked the Pacers? Here's some buttholes for eyes. That's what we did.
That was classic.
I would just respond, Heat in 5.
They made glasses for that.
Oh,
damn
even if it was
butthole
game
glasses.
six.
You want to keep talking? Guess what? Entire face, butthole.
Buscemi eyes.
You were saying, Dan?
Who said that?
that there's a lane for you here, Tony, if you want to be, because I think Twitter is usually pretty ethnic. I think, and it's loud. If you want to represent Miami like that crypto billionaire, there is something to being a charming kind of obnoxious, a clever, a self-aware kind of obnoxious.
They're all filled with Jeremys right now. Before, if someone gave the middle finger to Joakim Noah, there was probably a murder in their past that was suspicious. And guess what? That was a thing that
True
actually
story.
happened.
That's a thing. That's a playoff
Great.
thing right there.
Yes.
A woman gave Joakim Noah the finger. She became instantly famous, and then we checked her past, and there was a suspicious murder.
Now the
Alleged.
people giving the middle fingers are from Beta Club.
Ugh, please, dorks.
I hate betas.
So Dan, I feel like you're on the same page with me here. You want to get the dorks out of Heat Twitter, and I'm always for getting dorks the hell out
I don't
of there.
think Jeremy's a dork. But
come on.
He's
What are
a
you doing?
dork.
He's such a
What are you
dork.
talking
You
about?
guys
just
are
said he's
being
not
so
charming.
mean. I'm
So
torn
mean.
though because he is really annoying about the Heat. So
And tonight, the Miami Heat play a game, Stugotz. You know we don't do very many previews around here, but we're going to be involved. We're going to be doing some stuff with All the Smoke during the playoffs where we'll pop up at night and we'll do some playoff coverage on things. Tonight would have been a good night for us to enjoy together because while you got to get in to get off, this is a big night.
Right.
The play-in has been a success across.
Unless the Heat lose. And then the big night's no, that wasn't really a big night.
Is the next night.
We're
Yes.
saving our bodies for the. We wanted Boston the whole time.
I would like to see
That's
both.
the pivot.
I would like to see both those series, but I'm rooting right now, Stugotz, and this puts me in Homer classification because I don't think. And this isn't even a knock on Miami. Like I said, they're a good road team. They're 24-17 on the road. They have no reason to be afraid of the road. OKC, that's their record on the road. Denver, that's their record on the road. The very best teams.
Right.
Miami can win this basketball game, but Philadelphia has the best player on the court. Philadelphia has been not Miami, even though it had the first-round picks to be Miami and a process to be Miami. Over the last 5 years, Philadelphia has always fallen at the feet of Miami and Boston, has no answers. They've got an MVP candidate, and he does not advance beyond these teams.
Right.
Jimmy Butler played for Philadelphia. Philadelphia might have won a championship already if they hadn't chosen Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler.
Tony's got a take here. Tony's got a take on tonight.
I'm worried. Dan, you said they have the best player in Joel Embiid, and it feels like, if all things considered, some people don't play up to the caliber of what they're playing. Okay,
a lot of qualifiers here.
Yep.
looks like Maxey could be the second best player on the court.
What if Maxey doesn't play well? I mean, this is a weird thing.
Nah,
It's
then
like
you got
if
me
Jimmy
there.
doesn't play well, Maxey could be the second best.
He had a lot of qualifiers. He hedged his bets there a little bit. But if you're going off of this season, there's no question who the two best players on the court are. It's Embiid and Maxey. But we all know what's going around Jimmy is this reserving the body for playoff Jimmy.
I want to see the 5 foot in the air jumpers.
That's what I want to see.
Who would you rather
said-
have tonight? Would you rather have Jimmy Butler or Joel Embiid?
Joel Embiid. Wow.
Really? I'd take Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let me just.
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
Playoff Jimmy.
Okay.
Just back in the day, it was so refreshing. If Tony were to give that take in front of a microphone, guaranteed he would have buttholes for eyes within 5 seconds. Yeah.
The part that I will disagree with you on, and I know that you want to make fun of me in general for a take from the middle of the Lillard sweepstakes, where I said that Tyler Hero he was as good as Tyrese Maxey. The second best player on the court tonight, depending on how things go with all the qualifiers, because I don't know why it is that we always ignore the defensive side of the ball when doing this, is Bam Adebayo, who's on the Olympic team and is an all-world defensive player. And if the Miami Heat are to win this basketball game, it will be because they play excellent defense, as they do in the playoffs, as they always do for Spoelstra. And the key to all of that, including being able to guard Maxey in key situations because he's 6'9", and he's able to do things on the perimeter that no other defender can do with a coach that can do things with him that cannot be done with any other defender. Maxey is not better than Bam Adebayo. I don't know why you guys always ignore defense, especially this time of year.
Well, because what kind of Bam are we going to get? Are we going to get Idris or are we going to get Bam? There's a lot of questions, Dan. There's a reason why there's a lot of caveats, because there's a lot of questions.
A big game.
Big game.
Unless the Heat lose, then...
Not a big game.
Look, if they win, you keep with this playoff Jimmy mantra and you talk yourself into ridiculous things because we saw them do something fairly ridiculous. But if they lose, please, just the core. Toss it out. Wow.
There we go again. He's been doing that for 2 years.
They have a
I'm
home
done
game in
talking
2
about
nights.
is Bam going to find the guts. I'm done talking about it. I'm done trying to wait around and see if I can trust Duncan Robinson. I'm done trying to figure out if Tyler Hero is going to be healthy or not for a stretch. I'm done having these conversations
I'm putting
with this
buttholes
team.
on you, Mike. Buttholes on
Whoa.
you.
Buttholes on you.
Buttholes on you. And
It's
a
a
horse.
big game game tonight.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, Jesus. That escalated quickly.
Entire premise.
Got to get in to get off.